Hello everyone, and welcome to today's SOAR webinar on the SOAR online course. Today's webinar is presented by the SAMHSA SOAR Technical Assistance Center, Policy Research Associates, under contract to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. My name is Pam Hine, SOAR Project Associate with the SAMHSA SOAR TA Center, and I'll be moderating today's event. Before we officially begin the webinar, I would like to present Kristen Lupfer, Project Director here at the SOAR TA Center, who will give our welcome this afternoon. Before we have Kristen give our welcome, we'll just start with a few housekeeping items before we begin. The webinar is being recorded and will be available for download on the SOAR website in a phase. Your lines will be muted through webinar. Now you may download the PowerPoint slides. You have two options. First, if you look at the top left of your screen, you will see the File and a Document button, Download Materials. Your second option is to visit the SOAR website and then click on the Webinar tab and find today's topic, the online course, and the PowerPoint slides will be ready to download and print. At the conclusion of the webinar, you will be directed to a link for an online evaluation. We value and appreciate your feedback and use it to improve and inform future SOAR webinars and activities. So we ask that you take a moment to complete it immediately following the webinar. Review our learning objectives and the agenda for today's webinar. The learning objectives. We are hoping that after you hear the webinar that you'll understand better the reasoning behind the SOAR online course. You know, why was this created to begin with? And, you know, here's some updated statistics about how things are going to date. Understanding also how to enroll in the course and complete the course, and also using some of our course tools to complete the practice case file so that you can get through the course effectively, efficiently, and joyfully too, as we like to say. Is a little bit stuck here. So on the agenda today, Kristen Lupfer, our Project Director, will do the welcome and share some statistics. And you will have your online course walkthrough with Susie Sodergren and Jill Elder, both at the SOAR TA Center. And we plan on having plenty of time for Q&A at the end so that we can answer some of your questions for folks who are considering enrolling and who may already be enrolled. So before we get to Kristen with the welcome, I would like to pose a poll question to everyone. I would like to know, we would like to ask you, how familiar are you with the SOAR online course? We have 5 options here, so pick the one which closely reflects your level of knowledge. Have you just heard about it but never really looked into the course? Are you enrolled but haven't begun that practice case? Have you enrolled but began the practice case by watching some videos and uploading some of the documents? Have you submitted a packet, your practice case packet, to the SOAR TA Center? Or have you done everything, including passing the course? So take a minute to answer the poll. thank you so much for Aunt Cole. Some great information here. Many of you on the call today have heard about it, but really have not looked into it. So this is the right webinar for you to hear all about that. We have, you know, folks also who have enrolled in the course and also passed the course. There's quite a few of you on the course who have actually passed the course. So again, at the end of the webinar, feel free to, if you don't have a question, share some comments about how you like the course. If you're doing any SOAR applications, we'd love to hear that too. So again, thanks a lot for sharing that information. It's very, very helpful to us. So now I'm going to pass it over to Kristen Lutfer, who is our SAMHSA SOAR TA Center Project Director, who will share a welcome and some important facts that everyone will hear about. Kristen? You got muted.
Yeah, thanks, Pam. So thank you all for joining us today. We're so excited about the interest across the country in the SOAR online course. And so I just wanted to quickly kind of talk about some reasons that SAMHSA switched, and we've made the switch with them excitedly to from an in-person training to an online course. We love how it has standardized the training, allows us to keep the training up to date, and that it can be provided at no cost to users and can be available to people in any place at any time. So it has really expanded SOAR to new geographic areas and audiences. And so people in rural areas and communities that don't have established SOAR trainers or leads, or people who are working with special populations and aren't able to or hadn't been able to attend an in-person training, are able to get this information and access it at their pace on their own time. The other really exciting thing about the course that we're kind of most happy with and have seen the impact with the practice education component, or the practicum component. It really requires core participants and completers to course through and really learning the information that you have to put it to use for these fictional applicants. And you'll learn a lot more about that as Susie will walk you through that process and what's involved. But what it means to us, kind of from the center perspective and for local and state SOAR leads, is that they're finding that the people who complete the course and complete the training are more likely to go on and complete applications because you've invested so much time and effort in learning it well and doing this practice case, that you're really doing that so that you can assist with applications. It's really not as easy as, you know, sitting for TAs in a classroom. It takes a lot more of your commitment. And so, you know, we give you that heads up, you know, start that it's, you know, not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to assist people with applications. It's worthwhile and it is incredibly rewarding, but it's tough and there's a lot to learn. And so we want to make sure that you guys are totally prepared and totally supported as you do that. And so another thing that the online course offers is it allows state and local leads and trainers to spend their time, rather than providing training, they can spend time following up with people who have completed the course, making sure that you're supported as you're assisting with applications. They can make sure that those applications are high quality, that they're complete, and they can spend their time tracking and monitoring outcomes, know that it's really working, and that the people who have been trained and are assisting with applications are doing a good job. And so we've kind of transitioned those training duties into really more of a leadership and support function, and we're seeing a lot of great success with that. So that's why the online course. And we're not the only ones who are excited about it. We know that others are as well, because since November 2014, it hasn't even been that long since the course has been out there and available to everyone. We've had nearly 9,000 people enroll in the course. A lot of those enrollments are people just checking it out, people who've been trained before in the in-person training and want a refresher and want to read some more articles. People who've enrolled we've seen 1,612 people as of like 11 o'clock this morning who passed the course. The SOAR Center does reviews of every practice case application, and you're going to hear about that. We spend individual time with each one of your individual forms, so remember that as you're working on it. But we do an initial review, and sometimes we request revisions, and we do another review. So we're reviewing a lot of applications out there and providing really specific and personalized constructive feedback for you as you complete it. So know that, it's not just a waste of your time doing this practice case, but you're really going to get good feedback on what you've done, and we're really going to be taking a look at it. Other kind of stats about the course: there are 7 classes in the course, there are 14 videos to watch, there are 74 articles to read. It is a very comprehensive curriculum, and you're really going to be getting the information and resources and tools that you need to complete high quality SSI and SSDI applications. We have representatives from all 50 states and also District of Columbia and Puerto Rico who have successfully completed the course, running over 500 organizations. So it's really exciting. The reach is definitely out there. You see some of that reach on this map, and this map's a little bit outdated. We had this prepared in July of last year, so it's been since then. And if we look at 1,012 individuals, so 600 more people have completed the course. So that you can kind of see how it's spread out around the country where people are taking it. So we hope that the 300 or so of you who are on the call today will be part of these numbers next time we talk about it. All right, turn it back over to Pam, and we're going to do our poll question number 2.
Great, thanks, Kristen, for sharing that updated information. It's very interesting. So we have another poll in the spirit of making this more interactive. So we have a question for you, true and false. Based on what Kristen said, this course teaches you about the SOAR model and SOAR Social Security basics to help you complete SOAR applications. It takes less than 3 hours, is in 2 parts, and only includes PowerPoint slides. So a couple seconds to answer the poll. Okay, thank you for taking the time to do the poll. So the vast majority know that that is false. It takes about 16 hours because the course offers you 16 CEUs, credit hours, NASW CEUs. We know it's in 7 parts and includes much more than just boring PowerPoint slides. We have videos and medical records and progress notes and things like that. So we make it, and quizzes, so we make it very interactive for you. So we have a few people, 40, who said that was true. So maybe after this webinar you'll see that it is false. So again, we thank you for taking the time for that. So we're going to move on next to Susie Sodergren, who is our SOAR online course coordinator, who's going to go over some of the online course basics, everything from enrollment and some other frequently asked questions too. So we're going to hand this over to Susie.
Okay. Pam. Good afternoon, everybody. As Pam said, I'm going to go over some of the basics of the online course, kind of give a broad overview of what the course entails and how to navigate through it, also address some common technical questions that we get. I'm the person that you'll likely speak to if you ever call the TA Center asking for help with technical aspects of the course. So starting with step 1, how to enroll in the online course. We saw from the poll that many of you had heard of the course but hadn't enrolled yet, so we're going to start there. You are going to, first off, visit our website, SOARworks at prainc.com, and you're going to, on the top right of the page, you're going to see the sign up to create an account, and this will bring you to a registration page, Register with SOARworks on the left-hand side you see there. After completing the registration form and creating an account, you will be taken directly to the SOAR online course homepage. And on the right-hand side, you'll see this will appear on the top of that homepage for the SOAR online course. And enroll in this course button. And that's important to click and make sure that you get enrolled in the course. And just for future reference, although you'll be taken directly to the home page of the online course, you can also always navigate to the course through the menu bar at the top of the home page. I apologize, the slide was not up for the information I was talking about. There's the page with enrolling in the online course where you can click sign up, the arrow pointing to that on the registration page for SOARworks, and then the enroll in this course button that will appear on the home page of the online course. A very important reminder is that when you do enroll in the SOAR online course, there are a couple of things you're agreeing to. And you can't proceed to the course until you've agreed to this. One is that while you're going to use what you've learned in the course or any application, you're only going to label SOAR on application if it's for someone who is homeless or at risk for homelessness. And second, and also very important, is that you're required to do your own work independently for the SOAR online course and practice case. Now, ordinarily, working in the field, collaboration is great. In this case, for the course, we really want you to know that we really want to know that you can take all the information you've learned and apply it on your own. So that's the agreement that you will have to check that box, that you understand it, before you can go on and begin the course. So, generally, about the course and its layout. This is the home page of the online course after you've enrolled. This is what you will see. You'll see there's a tutorial video there, and if you're actually on the page below that, you'll see a great deal of instructions. And as well on the right-hand side, you can see a menu of the 7 classes of the course. So generally speaking, there's 2 main elements of our online course. One is those 7 classes on the right, the many articles that you will read. They are really, as Kristen said, chock full of information, everything that you're going to need to know to complete an SSI, SSDI application using the SOAR method. And the information we have in the course is always updated. When SSA updates a form, we'll have that available to you. When they update any information that has to do with applying for SSI or SSDI, we keep it up to date for you. The main element of the course, as Kristen mentioned, is the practice case. And this is the part of the course where you're going to take everything you've learned and you're really going to put it into practice. You're going to play the role of a fictional caseworker working with a fictional applicant, and you're really going to complete a full packet for them and submit it to the TA Center for review. You learn about this fictional applicant through videos, through progress notes we supply to you, through medical records, and you're going to take all that information and complete a packet, 5 SSA forms, as well as a medical summary report. And that's the part of the course that we're going to focus on today. So, the thing I wanted to really focus on is making this distinction between the articles that you're reading and the practice case pages. So a little more detail about these 2 elements of the course that I've talked about. On the left-hand side, you're looking at an example of one of our articles. It happens to be the first article in Class 1. And it's important to note that all classes are going to follow this format. You're going to have a class home, several articles, and then you're going to come to the practice case page. The same for all of the classes of the course. So on the left is an example of one of the articles that you'll read, and on the right is an example of a practice case page. Right, what you're looking at is actually the first practice case page you come to at the end of Class 1. So what to really focus on is that while reading all these articles, yes, everything you're learning is information that you're going to put into practice by filling out packet for a fictional applicant. However, much of the information you're going to read in those articles as well is geared towards the real world. So you're going to read about how to engage with a client. You're going to read about submitting some of the SSA forms online. So it's important to make that distinction because people have a lot of confusion around that issue sometimes. Definitely read these articles, obviously. You're going to gain a lot of information through it. Remember that when you come back to the practice case and working again with that fictional applicant at the end of every class, you're really following the instructions for that practice case. Obviously, we're not going to ask you to submit forms online to SSA for this practice case. We're going to have you submit those to us. So just keep that in mind as you're going through the course. So what we're going to look at now is this case page elements. They're going to come to a practice case page at the end of every class. The one we're looking at here happens to be the practice case page at the end of class 2. See a welcome at the top, and that's our way of welcoming you back as the fictional caseworker that you're playing the role of, just reminding you that, okay, now you're back to the practice case part of this class. Focus on this applicant that you're working with. You're going to video with your applicant. And just a note here, a lot of people don't have YouTube access at work, but if you'll see that there's a link just below the video for alternative viewing options that utilize YouTube. Beneath video, tasks for this class. Again, this is really going to tell you exactly what you need to know for that practice case page and what you're responsible for completing at that point in the class. A very common question we get is, you know, I have all these forms and there's no way I can complete them. I don't have the information yet. Don't worry, that information will come to you. Focus on that practice case page and the tasks that are listed for that page. You'll see on the top right of the page instructions for how to submit documents that you have completed. We're going to talk more about how to do that later. And then the page, of course, couldn't fit on the whole slide here. So on the right-hand side is a continuation of the practice case page, where you'll see that the practice case materials is the information we're providing to you for you to save on your computer or to view, the information we're giving you about your fictional applicant, and then find your practice case file, which is going to show any documents, completed forms or documents that you have uploaded to your applicant. So working with forms, again, very common issue that people have. What we're looking at here is the class 1 practice case page. It's the first one you come to, called Meet Your Client. So there's going to be the most instructions on this page out of all the practice case pages. As well, these are all the materials that you will need for submitting an application packet to us. What you're going to do is you're going to use the right mouse button to right-click on every article, or every document that's under practice case materials. You're going to right-click on it and choose Save Link As or Save Target As. It might say one of those two things, depending on what internet browser you're using. And you're going to do that same thing for each file. When you right-click on a file, choose Save Link or Save Target As, a pop-up window will come up that helps you to navigate through your computer. So in this case, I'm in my documents. I, ahead of time, created a folder called SOAR Practice Case. You don't need to do that, but I did it for purposes of the webinar. And you will save that document in that folder. Now, on the left, with the list of practice case materials, we also have, if you're familiar with zip files, you can use the right-click mouse button. You can right-click on all Class 1 materials and actually save for you all of the documents that are listed above it if you don't want to do one at a time. But what's important to note is, again, right-clicking, Save As or Save Target As, and choose a location on your computer where you easily find again and where you want to save these documents on your computer. Time to work on them, you go to that location on your computer to open those forms up and work on them. Again, very common question we get. Someone will double-click on a file under those practice case materials. They'll open up, they'll set information and think that they can hit save, and that will save it right within the course. And that's not how it works. Those documents are provided for you to save on your computer and therefore access them from that saved location to work on them. Forms. As in, you're going to navigate through your computer to wherever you save your documents. You're going to open up the document and you type answers directly on the screen into that document. You're going to type your answers in and you're going to save it. Very commonly, you'll get a message that asks, well, this document's already there. Do you want to replace it? In this case, what I have saved there so far is the blank document that I got from the course. So yes, I want to replace that with the version of the file that I have put entries into. And you're going to do that for every file throughout the course as you're working on it. Okay, you're going to open it from your computer, enter information, and save your changes. Once you have done that, and once you have completed the forms that you need to complete and are prompted to upload them throughout the course on different practice case pages, you'll be asked to upload particular completed forms. So we are actually at the end of class 2 here in the image you're looking at, on the practice case page there, where you're asked to upload the SSA 827 and SSA 1696. For the SSA 827, what you'll see is that's what it looks like after you've uploaded a document. For the 1696, you'll see that there's a choose file option. Again, depending on what internet browser you're using, this might say browse. So it's going to say either browse or choose file. You look on that. Again, that pop-up window will come up, allowing you to navigate through your computer. You're going to find the complete form that you saved, open, and then upload. And that will look like the SSA 827 does in this case. You'll see it listed there. If later on you discover that you made a mistake on any particular form, you can turn to the practice case page where you uploaded it. And the arrow there pointing under 827 to remove. What you're going to do there is make whatever changes you need to make to that form, save it on your computer, go back to practice case page where you originally uploaded it, click remove, and when you do that, the option to choose file or browse will appear again. And use that to again upload the updated version of the form that you can make changes to. Okay. Important as well to click Save and Continue. I've uploaded whatever forms are necessary. One question that we get actually is, left the course, I logged back into it a couple days later, and the course hasn't tracked where I was. It's taken me back to the home page. And just to keep in mind, the only real tracking that happens for your progress in this course is that you've uploaded forms. Of that, while the course does provide gray, and you'll see here on this image under class 2 where you can see a small list of articles there, gray flags will appear next to articles that you have looked at, but that's really just for your purposes. Other than that, people are very worried when they've gone through class 4, they log off, they log back in, and look at the home page. They want it to open up to where they left off, and that's not going to happen. You'll just use the menu on the right-hand side of the page to navigate to the class that you were on last. On a practice case page, scroll down to the portion of the page that says Your Practice Case File. That will show you any form that you have uploaded. Again, when we have questions about, the book that I've done is lost, it's not lost. I promise you it's there. If you uploaded the files and hit Save and Continue and you saw them, logout is not going to erase that. You can log back at any time. And again, any practice case page you can go to. And if you scroll down, you will see a list of documents that you have uploaded. Okay, another very common question that we get. Upload the forms and documents to the online course as you progress through is not the same as submitting them to us. You want to make sure that you complete the course all the way through class 7 and get to that final practice case page, Submit Application. When you do, you will come to the page you see here. There's that nice big red button that says Submit Completed Application, Packet, and Complete the Course. Until you do that, we do not know that you have a packet that you want us to look at. So just be sure that even though you've uploaded your 6 documents that are required, you need to complete the course through Class 7 and click that button. They'll send the application packet to the SOAR TA Center for review. Some other very common questions that we get that I'll give you a few tips on. Very often, people forgot their password or they're locked out of the system. A couple tips here is that if you have 5 unsuccessful login attempts, it's going to lock you out. So before you get to that point, if you've tried logging in 2 or 3 times and it's not working, contact us, and we can help you out with that. You can also use the request new password function, and that will send you an email with a link. Make sure to check your junk mail. It often ends up there. And if you are locked out and you're trying to use that link that was emailed to you and it's not working, use that website there, refresh your cache. What that means is that's going to help give you directions for how to delete your browsing history, delete what's called the cache. That very often is what's keeping you, after you've been locked out, from logging in again. Comment queue number 2, I cannot fill out or save or upload my forms. It's the most common questions we get. The top tip for this one is to make sure you have the most recent version of Adobe. The link that's provided here is also provided on the home page of the course. Click that, make sure you have the most up-to-date version. That usually solves the problem. But if it's still not working and for whatever reason, you're following all the directions, you're filling in your forms, you're saving them, you go to open them again, they're blank, or you simply cannot upload, again, contact us. You are free to email or fax those documents to us, but definitely give us a call or email us, and I might be able to help walk you through that. And another common one, I mentioned before, I submitted a packet, but I haven't heard from you guys. I submitted it a month ago. This happens quite frequently, and I will go into the system and see that folks forgot to go all the way through that Class 7, like I mentioned before. I'll see they submitted 6 documents, but didn't actually submit their application to the TA Center. So that's the first thing to check, but also keep in mind that we ask for a 10 business day turnaround time. As Kristen mentioned, we really do give very detailed feedback. You have a chance to make revisions and corrections, so don't worry about that. But because we really do offer individualized feedback, we do ask for 10 business day turnaround time to get back to you. So, and finally, if something's not working, please contact us. We don't want you to try 5 times on that password and get locked out. We don't want you, certainly don't want you to spend hours and hours trying to figure out what's going on with your forms. I get many calls from folks who say, for 3 days, I have filled out this form 5 times. Every time I do it, I go back and it's blank. We don't want you to do that. If you are filling out a form, you've entered a few things, you save it, go back, it's blank, you're not sure what's going on, don't spend time filling it out 20 times and trying to figure it out. Just give us a call, and usually we can help you right through it. You can contact us or online at prainc.com, or you can call us directly. That's my extension, 439-415, and my extension there to get right through to a real live person who can walk you through it. My contact information, again, that SOAR Online email is one that I check, or email my work email at sottagren@prainc.com, or give me a call.
Thanks, Susie, for all of your information and standing and being by the telephone to answer, many of the questions that come through. As you can hear, Susie's not a robot. She's a real life person.
Sometimes.
And, she really wants to make this experience a good one for you. So don't hesitate to follow some of her tips, first, and then she's always here to answer your questions, too. So, and this is the area of Susie's presentation will pose a lot of questions for folks who enroll and start the course. So we will be taking questions at the end of this webinar after Jen's presentation. But just to remind you that if you'd like to ask a question, we have 2 ways. You can type your question into the Q&A panel, located underneath the participant tab, or to ask a question by phone, your hand by checking the hand icon in the participant pod. So you can do it that way, and we'll unmute your phone. So we'll take Q&A that way. So just keep that in mind. I'm sure this area has a lot of questions for you that you'd like to be answered. So we'll go to our third and final poll here based on Susie's presentation. So which of the following is true about the online course? A, successful completion comes with 16 CEUs to the National Association of Social Workers. It's designed to provide standardized training across the country, up-to-date Social Security report, and information. I'll just add, opportunity to complete a mock SOAR application, or D, all of the above. So we'll take a couple seconds to answer that poll question. All right, thanks so much for taking some time out. The vast majority of you, except for 4 people, said D. So we have some jokers out there. So thanks again for participating in the poll. Again, this is a very rich online course that not only offers you some CEUs, but we take a lot of time to make sure that all the information is up to date, so that you are not submitting applications based on old forms and other outdated information. So thanks again. And we are going to pass the microphone over to Jen Elder, our National Policy and Partnerships Coordinator, who spends a lot of time on content and the online course reviews, and can share some of her tips for successful completion. So Jen, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Tips. We'll give you some tips for success so that you can get through the course efficiently, right to work on those applications. So I want to start by saying, above all, framework for this course, please know that we want pretty much anything for you to be successful, and want you to feel empowered with this knowledge so that you can take it and right to work in your communities and help those vulnerable individuals. So know that when you're going through the course, we're not giving you this information just so you will be fantastic at Social Security Trivia Night or impress your friends with any knowledge of Social Security policy, though you very well might do those things. We want you to have this specific information so that you can take and use it for applications in your community and use it to end homelessness. So I hope that you'll go into the course with that framework. So that being said, what are some great tips for success? What are the top things that we're looking for so that you can get through the course hopefully without frustration and as possible? So the one big thing we are looking for is, in the practice case, include information for videos, progress notes, and for treatment providers. So see, when you go through, we sprinkled key information all throughout those 3 different sections. It's really clear to the review team if perhaps you just clicked all the buttons, didn't read the records, and submitted the packet. Because we're looking for specific information from all of those sources. I'm not saying you have to go and transcribe the video and do super detailed detective work, but we want to make sure that you've read everything that we provided to you. So sometimes just accidentally, someone will not see that at the end of one course there's some extra records. So if you don't have 4 different treatment providers by the end, you can just double check. So is make sure that you're not getting too caught up in the exact dates or whether or not you're playing yourself or the fictitious case manager. Don't sweat the small stuff. I don't want you to get too lost in the details that don't matter in this course. And so you'll see when you go through the case study, you are playing either Will or Kristen, a fictitious case manager, helping Mike or Colette through their application process. And of course, we wrote these cases a couple years ago, and the further we get away from 2012, maybe it's a bit harder to picture back in 2012. That's the date that all the progress notes are dated. There you can, if you're really good at getting in that mindset, you can use those dates that are in the progress notes. But if you're having trouble with that, we genuinely don't care if you use these dates. That's not the main thing we're looking for. So try not to get yourself stuck there. What we do want, so one thing we'll just look for is consistency. So if you're playing yourself and you put your own information in there instead of Will or Kristen's, just make sure you use your own information throughout the whole thing. What it says is we want to make sure that you can take the information that we've given you and know exactly where on the Social Security forms and where in the medical summary report to put it. So that's what we're looking for. Can you take this information? Can you help someone file an application? And make sure focusing on the big picture. Actually, here, sometimes you're not going to have all the details about an applicant's history. That's just the way it works in life when working with applicants. An example would be dates and hours of work, rate of pay. I would not know the dates and the hours and the pay for all the jobs I've had in the last 15 years. And so it's if your applicants don't know that too. For those of you who've worked on the online disability applications, know that that system will let you proceed without those certain details. So as you're going through and maybe you don't have all of the information, that's okay. Just write something in the remarks section. Didn't have these details, or applicant had trouble remembering. So we try to simulate some of those times in this case study. Helpful tip is to use the medical summary report interview guide and template. Divided in class 1 as one of the documents. It's also available in our SOAR library. For those who are not on the SOAR online course, this is a wonderful resource. And read through it. The interview guide is pretty lengthy. It entails every question we could think ask that would be helpful for the medical summary report. So that not every question is going to be answered. We want to give you a comprehensive idea of what types of information should be addressed in each section. Remember, if you're using this as a resource, make sure you only read the medical summary report on the template section. That's going to be the last few pages of this guide. And go ahead and completely delete all of the interview guide part. So when you turn this into us or into IDS, please don't turn in that the first 15 so pages with all the questions. Just go ahead and delete that out. Remember on this that each section should be addressed. So you'll see that we broke it down by what sections are key to address in a medical summary report. For the psychiatric history section, be sure to address all treatment providers that aren't covered in other sections of the MSR. So in other words, make sure in some part of your medical summary report that you address all treatment providers. So that perhaps you're going to address treatment in jail during the legal history section. Total time. Maybe substance use treatment in the substance use history section. Work really well there. So you don't need to repeat that in the psychiatric history section. There, in the MSR, everything should be talked about. Because DSS will read all of the records when you turn this in, but you want to provide them with a bit of a roadmap. So some good key posts to put in there are the dates of treatment. What diagnoses did the applicant receive at each provider? What conditions were they treated with? And then one of the key things that really successful MSRs have is the ability to pull out any functional information that may be hiding in the medical records. So would be perhaps a medical record talked about the applicant getting argumentative with staff, maybe yelling at a nurse. That would be really good information to pull out about social functioning. Or say a day treatment provider said that someone was isolating themselves, was unable to go to group, didn't talk with others. Again, great information to pull out those quotes, get those in the psychiatric history section. Right. With the areas of functioning, the 4 areas of functional impairments, we're looking for each area to be addressed, and a good rule of thumb is to write at least one long paragraph for each section. Remember that we're looking for the applicant to have marked impairments in functioning, and so that's going to take a little bit of explanation and examples. Things you can do in these sections is time to pull out quotes from the applicant, from lateral sources, maybe someone who knows the applicant, reference the records there. That's a time to do so. So if you put those quotes and at least a few examples in each area, you're going to come out with at least one long paragraph, if not 2. And the more the merrier in this section, because this is such an important part of the disability criteria. That I would say to that is for the last area of functioning, episodes of decompensation, you have to write as much. So this area, for those who may not be as familiar, we'll talk about any recurrent hospitalizations, job loss, evictions, incarcerations due to symptoms of the applicant's illness. So if you have already talked about recurrent hospitalizations or incarcerations or trouble with jobs earlier in the MSR, hint, hint, that would be a great thing to do. In this section of functioning, you can just refer back and say, as did before happened. So you don't need to rehash everything a second time. Just a couple sentences to say that you've already talked about it is plenty. So with that, reviewing the sample MSRs and sample completed Social Security forms on our website can be really helpful as you start the course, just so you know what it is we're looking for. So I have the link here to the sample medical summary reports, and the sample completed Social Security application is available in the library, and it's also linked on the course. So easily find that guidance. Really want to know, nobody looks like this very frantic person here being stuck. So we encourage you, as Susie said, reach out to us. No questions are too small. We don't want you to be stuck. We want to continue through the course. So if you're just hitting a wall on something, let us know. Reach out to us. This is the same contact information Susie gave before. Mine will also be in here. Susie and I work together on the SOAR online mailbox, so you'll get one of us. So now I hope, since we have all met virtually via this webinar, you will feel more comfortable comfortable reaching out to us with your questions. Information. This is along the lines of getting through the course efficiently. The course is long. Again, that's why we are allowed to award 16 CEUs from NASW. But we don't want it to be so long that you're never getting to put this information in practice. So what are some things we can do to help with that? Is remembering that information is spread out throughout the course. This simulates how you're going to receive it in real life. It would be absolutely amazing if every applicant we met on the streets or in the shelters just had everything about their life history and all their medical records and all it is we needed to know for the application the first time we met them in at least 15 minutes. Wouldn't that be lovely? But that's how it works. And I know that everybody on this webinar, been in the field, completely understands that you get some bits of information. So that's how we simulated it with the course. So along with MSR, another useful guide in Class 1 that we created is the SFA Forms Guide. It's basically a quick sheet of what information each Social Security form is asking for. So say looking at some notes and you find the applicant's place of birth, and then can see, oh, maybe some of the Social Security forms are going to ask for that. I'm going to note this, or the applicant's height and weight. So that's a key piece of information I need to remember for this form. So we want provided those tools so that as soon as you're seeing those key pieces of information in the course, you can go ahead and pull them out. So you're spending less time rereading bits of the progress notes. So information, go ahead and add it into the appropriate place on the Social Security forms or places in the medical summary report. We'll provide you with all of the forms in that MSR template right in Class 1. It's time to go ahead and, as Susie said, save those, have them handy, and fill them in as you go along. It helps you having to go back and reread things. This is actually the same advice for working in the field with real applicants. Whenever I received medical records on an applicant in the field, I would go through and read it. Immediately, I would have a Post-it note that I stuck on, a large Post-it note on the front page of the medical records, and I'd note the dates of treatment, the diagnoses that they received, the doctors who were treating the applicant, medications, and then again, if I saw any bits of functional information or key points that I wanted to pull into my medical summary report, I would go ahead and note where that could be found. Put that information right into the MSR. That way, you're only reading the medical records once, or at most maybe twice. You're not having to go back continuously and spin your wheels. And try that again on this practice case. Find what works for you with this. And our tip here is remember that the SSA Forms 16 and 8000 loaded in Class 4. Which we have in Class 4 that go on those forms. So try not to. I know we teach you about them a little bit earlier, but if you complete them too early, you miss information, and then you may have to go read the whole form, and we absolutely don't want you to do that. So a key piece to go ahead and wait on those forms so you've gotten everything from Class 4. So top mistakes, top things that we missed. As you mentioned, give you feedback. You had a chance, if you hadn't gotten all the way there with the case study, where they would, be approval at Social Security, we give you feedback and allow you a chance to redo some of the forms or the medical summary report and have us review it a second time. So some of these top makes come from the top reasons we're wanting somebody to redo the forms. Not including all treatment providers on the SSA 3368. This is I know we're probably spitting a lot of form numbers at you, as I realize, for those who maybe have not gone through the course yet. But very shorthand, this is the form you'll put a work history, some treatment providers, and turn that in. So we want, as I mentioned, all 4 treatment providers that are in the case study be on this form. It models what we want you to do in real life. It is so important to avoid delays at DS that they have all of this information. So that's why we're asking for it. And remember that jail and substance use records contain really great information. Pay attention to those. Pay attention in both of those periods of sobriety, any toxicology reports, those key things to look at in those records. That's the main thing for that form. In the SR, sometimes is missing that connection between applicant symptoms and their functional impairments. You mentioned to use quotes and multiple examples. Or if you write 2 or 3 sentences, it's not going to be enough because it's not marked impairments in that connection. So rather than just saying they're unable to sleep, they bathe, I don't drive a car, for activities of daily living, that wouldn't be enough for us. We want to know why. What symptoms are impairing their ability to do those things? What evidence do you have? So it's not enough to just say they don't do it. What else can you show to illustrate each of those areas of functioning? Reviewing the class articles that explain which question on the SSA forms are asking. Some questions are really worded. They're tricky. They should make sense the way they're written to us as professionals. And so we, look up all the policy. That's what we're here for, and see what is it they're really asking. So on the course pages that talk about each of these Social Security forms and how to fill them out, pay special attention, because we'll highlight some of those, we'll highlight all of those questions that make a ton of sense, and we'll just tell you straight out, this is what it's really asking for. And so our top missed questions on the Social Security forms. My top tips on how to get through the course successfully, efficiently, hopefully without too much stress. That's my contact information. Feel free to reach out if you have questions or concerns. And so I think I'm handing it back over to Pam.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Jen, for all of your information, your tips, and some really great hints. If folks are really listening and they are starting the practice case file, it gave some really great hints for folks to really look out for. So we appreciate that. And just to remind folks that this webinar has been recorded, and you can go back and listen to some of these key presentations at your own leisure. So we are going to open up the floor for questions, some Q&A. We just want to remind folks as you formulate your questions that we are looking for questions based on the online course, whether it's, you know, enrollment questions, practice case files, some technical questions about the online course. We've been answering a few questions here privately through the Q&A function about some individual cases, and we've been trying to answer some of those or directing you to your SOAR liaison to take those offline. But if you have some questions, again, two ways you can do that. You can do it through the Q&A button on the top right-hand screen. You can click that on. We'll take those questions. Also, you can do it by the phone if you are linked in with WebEx and the phone. You can do it that way. You can raise your hand by clicking the hand icon in that participant pod, and we'll unmute you so you can ask your question. If you want to take a minute or two to get your questions, we'll take them here at the SOAR TA Center. Question, Pam?
Is this required for people who have completed SOAR in-person training?
So then is, do you need to take the SOAR online course if you've already taken the 2-day Stepping Stones to Recovery training? So I'm going to send that question to Susie.
Yeah, I can answer that question. Whether it's a requirement or not has a lot to do with each state's process. And on the SOAR the SOAR website, you can click SOAR in my state and search for your state and see if there are any particular requirements for submitting SOAR applications in your state. Some states do have a requirement that even if you've been to the 2-day in-person training a while ago, that they still would like you to do the online course, or they ask that folks do the online course and then attend a 1-day SOAR fundamentals training. So it does vary state by state, so that can help guide you.
Jen, anything you'd like to add to that?
Is Jen unmuted?
Nope.
Oh.
I think it's great. Just, yeah, use it as a refresher. You can always register, take a look around, and there's no requirement to complete it. We won't come hounding you down.
Okay, great. Thanks. I have a question here. How long can there be in between beginning and completing the online portion with somebody? For example, if you start in January, when should you finish it? What if it's a few months? So this is about the time frame for completing the online course. Jen, you want to take that one?
I think one of the best things about an online course is it's self-paced. It is all completed where you have the time to work through it. So there's not a countdown on our end. Sometimes you have a local group, they have local deadlines for finishing it, but in general, just complete it as you can.
Okay. Jen, we have another question here. Once the webinar is done, should I go ahead and fill out the application to enroll for an online course?
Sure, definitely. Many folks I know who are on this call have already enrolled. Anyone can enroll at any time. I don't know if you did mention this, but the course is free. So yeah, absolutely. If you feel this webinar has helped you out and you're ready to start taking your online course, feel free to go to our website, soarworks.prainc.com, and create an account and enroll in the course.
Great. I think that's what we hope to see, a jump in enrollment tomorrow. So I think that's great news that somebody's is really interested in taking the online course. We have another question that asks, do you have to have an MSW or a Master's in Social Work to take the course?
Definitely not. Anyone anywhere is free to take it. It's just that those CEUs that are provided upon successful completion of the course, those CEUs are valid through the National Association of Social Workers, if in fact you are a social worker and need the CEUs. But anybody can enroll in the course and take it.
And check with your individual state licensing board to see if you're in another, you know, if you have a license under another specialty, if they'll accept the NASW, and even with your state social work licensing board about the course, the CEUs too. So you want to take that up at the state level. Another question here. Pass up the training and just submit the final, and we're assuming the final would be the practice case file. You pass up the training and just submit the final. And I'm assuming that person feels they have a really great knowledge of the Social Security Administration disability determination process. So I will pass that to Jen. So can you pass up the SOAR Online training and just submit the final case file?
I think, you know, as long as you get everything in there and you know how to complete the forms and you review the practice case and you've got that down. Of course, we can't, you know, big brother you. We have no idea what you've looked at. But the proof is in the pudding. If you turn in a great packet at the end that shows that you've taken a look at everything and gone through the material and passed, then you pass. What I would say, maybe the question asker has taken the 2-day training and wants to pass that because of it. I would just mention that it would be great to just take based of the articles. There's a lot of information that's continuously updated with Social Security almost every week. And so there's a lot more that's in the SOAR online course than is in the 2-day training material because the online course is updated in real time. And so I think there's still a lot to learn, even if you've been through that 2-day.
Explanation, Jen. I think that it is very helpful. Again, we want to remind folks that in order to pass the course, you will need to have the essential facts of either Colette or Mike. So it will be kind of hard to get through the training without really looking at the you know, either Colette or Mike's videos and looking over the progress notes and medical records. So, you know, we really encourage you to do that. And again, as Jen said, the proof is in the pudding, whether you, you know, receive a passing grade with certificate or not. So thank you. We have another question here. I started the online course a year ago, but was never able to complete it. Should I start over?
Yeah, that really is kind of up to you in one respect, but in another, you know, we do recommend a shorter time frame just so the information is fresh in your mind. And as Jen mentioned, you know, information is constantly getting updated. If you feel like you can log back into the course and pick up where you left off and can continue on with where you were, that's fine. If you feel like you really want to start with a different practice case, because maybe you submitted a couple forms for Colette and it's been so long that you would really rather start over with the other applicant, Mike, please just email us or give us a call and we can assign you to a different practice case if you really would like to start over. If by starting the course you just mean you started reading some articles and didn't do anything with the practice case, then certainly just log in as usual and you can start reading from class 1 again.
I have another question here. Are there examples of MSRs, summary reports, in the course that we can take information from and apply it to our client? And client, you mean Mike or Colette. So let Jen start with that, and Susie, if you want to chime in.
Sure. We have quite a few examples of MSRs available on the SOAR website, as I mentioned. But we want to be clear that that's just to help you understand the mechanics of writing one, what types of information is there. We want to make sure that when you write one for a client, whether it be one of our fictional clients or whether one you're working from in the field, that it's all original language, that you're not kind of copying and pasting anything, taking anything verbatim off of the samples. It's really important to, also in DDS, that every fact that we put in our MSRs is geared directly towards the applicant that we're working with. The last thing we would want is for them to see a bunch of medical summary reports all with the same language, exactly, because I think they would, question what it is that we're doing. And so, again, look at it for style and depth of information, but make sure that you're putting own words, or even better, I do in the client's words. Use a lot of quotes from the clients, and you won't have to worry about any of those other issues.
Jen, great explanation. We have another question. Is there an opportunity to reapply or re-enroll if you don't pass the course? Susie?
Yes, definitely. We do, like we mentioned, give individualized feedback, an opportunity to revise and resubmit forms or the MSR. Sometimes we'll even give people one chance after that if they're very, very close but just need to tweak their MSR a little bit. But yes, if we've really been helping you through it and you're just unable to pass the course at a particular time, you could have the opportunity, if you contact us, to be assigned the other practice case applicant and start from scratch and try it again.
Thanks, Susie. Another question here. Can I take the SOAR online course anytime?
Yeah, definitely. As you mentioned, anyone can enroll. It's really on your time schedule, so the course is completely web-based, so any time, day or night, that you feel like working on it, enrolling and working on it, it's available to you, which actually reminds me of a question that we often get, that someone will say they work on the course mostly at work, but now they're at home. Can they still log in from there? Yes, it is completely web-based. Whatever email you use to register for the course can be used to log in regardless of where you are.
Okay. Great, thanks, Susie. Here we have a question. I have taken the course and passed. Congratulations. I have completed 2 Social Security applications and they were approved. Are you notified, or am I responsible for informing you? Jen, I'd like to tackle that one.
You are responsible for informing us. We won't know about your approvals unless you tell us, and we absolutely want you to tell us so we can celebrate with you and help track that great data in our state and national outcomes.
Also, OAT, we'll tag along. It's not related to the online course, but we have another web-based online application tracking system called OAT. You can get some information about that on the SOAR website. Again, another way for you to get information over to us. Again, you can contact your SOAR liaison from your state, and you can find that also on the SOAR website when you click your state. So again, we really encourage you to look at OAT as well for tracking your cases and contacting your SOAR state leadership, SOAR liaison here at the TA Center. Let's see if we have any more questions here.
Oh, go back up.
Okay, here we have a good question. I have just finished reading all the chapters online, but on practice case, I do not see a form to complete. So assuming you were assigned either Mike or Colette, so again, after finishing reading the chapters, but on practice case, I don't see a form to complete.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe you've been going through the course, reading all the articles through the 7 classes, but that perhaps you missed that on the first practice case page called Meet Your Client, which at the end of Class 1, that all the forms that we require you to upload for the purposes of the course are provided there. So always look for practice case materials. That's a box that's on every practice case page, and we provide you the forms that we need you to complete for your fictional applicant and submit to us.
Okay. We have there. Okay, here's a question I think would be helpful for folks. I'm confused on when do you do the medical summary report after the SSI application has been completed and the online application has been done. Now, this may not be related to the online course as we read it. So this is just a question about completing medical summary report after you've done the SSI application and the online application. So it's generally about the MSR. And the MSR is considered part of a completed SOAR application. So ideally, it is attached to that application after you submit it online, then you're sending the packet to the local Social Security office with the SSI application. You would want to have that along with the medical records, the MSR, okay? That is ideal. Now, with that said, if you have not completed the MSR, that is a document that could be submitted after the application is sent from SSA over to the DDS office. But if you have any more questions about that, again, contact your SOAR TA Center liaison from your state who can talk to you a little bit more about how to organize some of your efforts when completing SOAR application. Again, some folks start right away with some of the basic facts, and then they build on it as they develop the case. If either, Jen, if you have any additional points about the MSR, please feel free to chime in. We do have a question that is about doing the online course as part of a cohort group. So the questioner is asking the flyer, and that would be the SOAR online course flyer, says you can take this as part of a larger cohort within your community or agency. Is this true? How about doing this? This is about, again, not taking the case as just an individual who hears about it through the webinar or another way, but actually sees that this has been advertised, similar to the two-day training, and they find out about this class, about this course. How can you do it in your own community? Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So many of our cohorts or groups of trainings, they're facilitated by SOAR local leads. Those are individuals who have attended a leadership academy or sometimes a train the trainer from us at the SOAR TA Center. You can find a list of your local leads as well as your SOAR state team lead on our website. There's a button in the upper left-hand corner that is so important to mention, and it's called SOAR in your state. So I encourage everybody, if you haven't already, to go SOAR in your state, find your state lead. Under the Contacts tab, you'll see the local leads and other trainers. It's great resources in your community to help with SOAR. So they may be facilitating these local trainings. It doesn't hurt to reach out and ask to see if there's anything going on in your local community. So those pages, you'll see a SOAR TA Center liaison. That's someone who works here with us. There's one of us for every single state, and we're a great resource for about local contacts or what's going on in your community to see if there's a local training. And if there's not a local training and you want some extra support, reach to us. We're so happy to help answer your questions and support you as you go through the online course.
That's very helpful to folks who want to be part of a larger cohort and finding out how to start one or how to get in on one. If you see a flyer, how you can register that. So we have a question here. Does the mock program, the practice case file, discuss how to assist a client when they are in the middle of an appeals process? So the answer is no. Colette and Mike, this is about filing an initial application, but in the classes, there are articles about filing appeals in general. So below, again, that's where you'll find some information on appeals, but we're not asking for that as part of the practice case file because our hope is that you get it done at the initial application level. So we don't include that. So we're just looking for some more questions about the online course. You have one by phone from a Bobby Stratton. So we're going to unmute your line and ask for your question. Bobby, are you there on the line?
I am, but actually you've answered it. Other people have asked the same question, but I did want to just take a second and say I've really enjoyed this webinar. I feel much more comfortable about going back now and finishing the training that you're offering, this training. So just, hey, great webinar. That's all I've got to say.
Oh, so what did you like best about the online course?
Well, when I first got on it and started taking, I got really uptight about the dates. That's what got me. So, and then I was off for some surgery, and it went by the wayside. And now they've asked me to complete it, so I have it on record that I've done that. But the one thing that really got me, and then I got a little caught up in that medical record and that gathering of medical. But now that you have talked about that and went over the different classes and stuff, I feel a lot more confident about going in there and taking it and getting it completed.
Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah.
So it sounds like Jen made you feel a little more at ease.
Yeah, I really wish
Great.
I'd had this before I ever attempted to do training. I feel a lot more confident about it now.
Good.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
wonderful to hear. Thanks.
Yep.
Good luck.
Thank you.
It looks like we have, I think, another question from Rhonda. So we'll unmute your line, Rhonda Boyd. Rhonda, are you on the line? We answered your question, apparently. So, again, thanks for your question. And, again, contact the SOAR TA Center if we have connection issues with you. So we have another caller, Kathleen Wildinger. Kathleen, are you on the line with a question?
Yes, question about two, actually. Well, one you had answered whether or not notice that there's different diagnosis, and when completing one of the forms you have to write down, and I saw that there was quite a few. Do I write them all down? I thought, maybe I see in one form there's two, and in another there's a couple more, and also medications. Do I write down everything that I find? Because on the different progress notes I see there's different medications as well.
Thanks, Kathleen. Jen, do you want to answer Kathleen's question?
That's a great question and actually comes up a lot, so I'm so glad you asked it. So diagnoses, what you want to do on the Social Security forms is put all of the applicant's current diagnoses. So anything you can find in the recent medical records, as well as any other illnesses that they report. So it might not be something that's actually diagnosed, but they may say, I have headaches. Definitely write headaches there. If they talk about back pain, but it's not been diagnosed, still put that there. Those are conditions that DDS can look into and see if they might need a listing. They may send the applicant to another exam to explore that. So on those forms, what you wouldn't want to put is something that is just current, say it's an adult and it was just these childhood diagnoses. Where you can put those is talking about the longitudinal history in the medical summary report. That's why I'd mentioned, giving those key signposts. Where were they treated? When? Maybe they were treated 10 years ago and they had a diagnosis of major depression, and maybe now they have a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. And so they can see how those diagnoses have progressed over time. So in the form, we want to focus on what's current or what they're currently reporting to you. In terms of medications, very similarly. So medications, you want to talk about what they're currently prescribed, because you can talk about past prescriptions. Now this includes if they're not taking them consistently, they're helpful to go ahead and and put those medications and say they've been prescribed medications, and then add in remarks, add a medical summary report. They're not consistently taking them. Maybe they don't have enough money. Maybe they're tired of taking their medication. Whatever it is, being able to explain that would be helpful.
For that explanation and for the question, and for the purposes of the practice case files, we know that both Let and Mike have multiple diagnoses each, both medical and mental health. So I think that's really helpful to share, that it's important to list current diagnoses or symptoms as well. So wonderful, Jen and Air. There's a question here too. This question is about state team leads. Have all state team leads taken this course? And I reach out to them if I have questions. We have the SOAR program throughout the country. We have state leads. In each state, some states there may be a vacancy, but by and large, each state does have a state lead. So I know that not all state leads have taken the course, but you can certainly reach out to them. But the SOAR TA Center and your liaison here at the SOAR TA Center would be the best person to ask about that course, about any questions about the course. But of course, reach out to your state lead if you are interested in organizing a cohort, if you're one of our local leads or you want to get some more information. But best to reach out to the SOAR TA Center, and we'll loop in your state leads and local leads on any interest that you might have. And if you go to the SOAR webpage and click on your state, there are tabs for events, and you may see that there is an event in your state. But if not, always reach out to your SOAR TA Center liaison and help connect you to your state leadership. If we're kind of winding down here with questions. If you have some questions that may be about specific applicants that you are working on, which we will take those and distribute them to your appropriate SOAR TA Center liaison to answer those. So if we're not getting to that question now, that's why. And general questions here. So I think what we'll do now is we'll wrap up the webinar on the online course, and thank Jen and Susie for preparing such detailed presentations and sharing your unique experiences with developing the course and helping troubleshoot issues that people have, participants have as they enroll in the course. So, with that said, for some of those questions, if you have any questions that we weren't able to get to today that you did submit, we will get those answered for you and send them out to you. So again, I just want to remind you that at the end of the webinar, there is a link to do an evaluation. Of course, you'll immediately get an evaluation. So we would love you to complete that right away so that we can do webinars that you're interested in. Our next webinar, so our contact information. So if you want to reach out to us, please, this is how you can do that. So again, I would like to thank you, and look forward to seeing some of you folks enrolled. Thanks. Bye-bye.